The moon's light crowned her, and he spat on it. The beta's rejection echoed through the courtyard as every wolf watched her break. But when her mark vanished, another flared to life, belonging to someone far more dangerous. The alpha of Silverclaw had just found what the moon never meant to lose. Would you bow to the one who broke you, or to the one who defied the moon to claim you? Tell me in the comments. And don't forget to follow before the next forbidden bond is revealed. Silence fell heavier than snow. The mark that once shimmered with fate burned white, then vanished, leaving my neck bare before 1,000 watching eyes. The pack's gaze slid away, pity laced with relief that it wasn't them on the altar floor. Even the moon dimmed, as if ashamed of her own choice. They called me unfit, Omega, weak, but I didn't cry. I memorized every smirk, every whispered insult, every step as they closed the gates behind me. The forest welcomed me with frost and teeth. My lungs burned, my pulse thinned, but somewhere inside the silence I heard it. The low growl of something ancient and merciful. If the moon made a mistake, it said, then make yourself the correction. That was the night the beta's mockery ended, and the alpha who found me, Kyle Dreverin, the silver wolf of the north, would make the world remember my name. The forest doesn't hate you, my mother once said. It just waits to see if you're worth the breath it gives back. The gates of Iron Fang slammed shut behind me with the sound of final judgment. No pack song followed, no howl for farewell. Only the groan of iron as the world that had raised me locked itself away. The night was knife cold, the kind that doesn't ask permission to hurt. Snow drifted sideways under the moon's dim stare, and the wind carried laughter, phantoms from the courtyard replaying my humiliation. I refuse. The words echoed inside me over and over until they stopped sounding human. I walked, barefoot at first, then numb. The hem of my dress stiffened into ice. My pulse beat slow and stubborn, like a wolf too wounded to die. I thought maybe the cold could hollow me clean, strip away the shame and the scent of rejection that clung like smoke. But the forest had a longer memory than pride. By dawn, the snow reached my knees. The trees leaned over me like judges, their branches heavy with frost. I tore strips from my dress to bind my feet, a mockery of boots, and pressed forward. Every breath scraped, every step bled. Hunger gnawed first, then thirst. By the third day, I was light-headed enough to mistake my own steam for company. That was when I saw them. Eyes, 6 pairs, glinting low and red through the trees. Rogues. They circled me in silence, wolves without names, fur matted with hunger and madness. Their scent was rot and desperation. I reached for the only thing I had, a splintered branch, nothing more. My hand trembled, not with fear, but exhaustion. The lead rogue stepped closer, breath clouding my face. Its teeth were yellow shards. I raised the branch between us, whispered to no one, not yet. It lunged. Instinct overruled terror. I pivoted, slammed the branch against its snout. Pain shot up my arm, but the creature reeled back, surprised that prey fought back. The others hesitated, long enough for me to stagger free into deeper snow. I didn't run far. My legs gave out near a frozen stream. I fell to my knees, gasping. The rogues prowled closer. One howl would end me. Then it came. But not from them. A sound tore across the mountains, low, commanding, impossible. The kind of howl that makes even nightmares bow. The rogues froze, heads snapping toward the sound. One whimpered, then they scattered into the trees, vanishing like smoke in wind. I was left alone again. No, not alone. From the mist beyond the stream, a figure emerged astride a black warhorse. His cloak shimmered silver at the edges, as if woven from starlight. Wolves padded silently behind him, their eyes steady, not wild. He dismounted without haste. The snow didn't dare crunch under his boots. "You're bleeding," he said, His voice was deep and calm, the kind that didn't ask if you were hurt. It simply saw. I tried to rise and failed. I'm fine. He knelt beside me, gaze unreadable beneath his dark hood. You shouldn't lie to the moon, he murmured. His gloved hand brushed my wrist, seeking a pulse. Heat bloomed where he touched. The crescent mark that had died during my rejection flared, bright, defiant. He saw it. So did I. For a moment, the world forgot how to breathe. He stood, stripping off his cloak and wrapping it around me. It smelled of cedar smoke and snowmelt, command without cruelty. Can you walk? Yes, I lied again. He didn't believe me. He lifted me effortlessly, placing me across his horse as though I weighed nothing more than a vow. I caught a glimpse of the insignia on his armor, a silver wolf's head over a crescent. I knew that mark. Every pack did. The Alpha of Silver Claw. Kyle Dravarin. His name was legend. Some said he was carved from ice. Others that he'd been blessed, or cursed, by the moon herself. His pack was the North's fortress, its creed whispered by travelers. Strength must not be proven by breaking what's already bent. He swung into the saddle behind me. The warmth of him was startling. When his gloved hand brushed my arm to steady me, I saw it, the faint shimmer of a mark beneath the leather. A crescent, almost identical to mine. My breath caught. You bear the moon's favor. He didn't answer. Hold on. The horse surged forward, hooves drumming over snow. Trees blurred into streaks of black and white. I clung to the saddle horn, dizzy from the sudden motion and the impossible thought blooming behind my ribs. Why would the moon tie me to him? The world tilted, stars spinning overhead. I must have fallen asleep against his shoulder because when I opened my eyes again, the wind had softened. The air smelled of hearth fire and pine resin. A village unfolded ahead, stone towers carved into the cliffside, wolves standing guard along the ramparts. Silverclaw. Rest, Cale said as we crossed the gate. You're safe here. Safe. The word felt foreign, almost fragile. He carried me down a torchlit corridor, lined with symbols of the moon, half-crescents and woven knots. Every guard bowed as he passed. I was too tired to question why. He stopped before a chamber draped in white furs. You'll stay here until you can stand on your own, he said. And after that? He met my eyes, something flaring behind the calm. After that, we see what the moon intends. When he turned to leave, I caught his wrist. The leather glove shifted. The crescent on his skin pulsed once, bright as lightning, and then faded. My own mark burned in answer beneath his touch. The connection was brief, terrifying, undeniable. What are you? I whispered. He looked back, a ghost of a smile tugging at the corner of his mouth, someone who stopped pretending fate can be refused. He closed the door behind him, leaving the scent of winter and fire behind. I stared at my glowing wrist until exhaustion dragged me under. Somewhere outside, wolves howled in unison, not the cry of mourning, but the first note of recognition. As I drifted to sleep, I dreamed of a hand marked like mine, reaching through silver mist, and a voice whispering, "Every exile carries a crown, Liara. You just haven't learned how to wear yours yet." The mark on my wrist flared once more, in perfect rhythm with his, and I waked to the hush of falling snow and the echo of a promise I'm not brave enough to repeat out loud. The chamber is warm, all white furs and pale stone, the kind of quiet that feels earned. When I lift my wrist, the crescent is dim again, only a ghost beneath the skin. I half expect last night to unravel into a fever dream. Then the door opens and the dream answers. Cale Dravarin steps through with dawn on his cloak. Steam curls from the bronze kettle in his hand. The scent of cedar and something sweet, a mountain herb, fills the room. "You slept," he says, not a question. Like a stone, I murmur, sitting up. My body complains in a dozen honest ways. The kind of pain that says alive. He sets the kettle by the hearth. "Tea, it'll put heat back in your bones." I wrap my fingers around the cup he pours. Heat stings, then settles. He doesn't watch me drink. He watches the window, gauging weather the way warriors read faces. Why bring me here? The question escapes before I can be polite. He answers without turning. Because the forest doesn't bargain. And you do. Only with things worth keeping. The cup pauses at my lip. I don't ask if he means me. Dress, he adds, gentler. There's a tunic and boots. The hall waits. For what? For proof. The hall is an artery carved through the mountain, bright with torchlight, banners of silver on black breathing in the draught. Wolves, living and carved, guard each archway. I walk beside Kael, boots too new, self too thin inside them. He matches his stride to mine without making it obvious. The small mercy steadies me more than tea. Eyes follow, not hostile, not soft, measuring. A tall woman with braided silver hair nods once. The line of her jaw says commander more than mother. A boy sweeps ash with reverence like it's holy. A scarred soldier leans on a spear, the way men lean on old stories. We reach a courtyard roofed in winter sky. Snow sifts down in polite threads, dissolving on heated stone. A circle is etched into the floor. Familiar shape, unfamiliar promise. The training ring. Kael lifts his chin. Silver Claw, he calls, voice not loud, but carried by something older than volume. Our guest belongs to our winter. Treat her as such. The commander woman steps forward and bows, in a way that says respect without surrender. Rook Marshal, Kael introduces. To me, he adds, she will try to break you, then remind you how not to break. Rook's mouth flinches. It might be a smile. With permission, Alpha. Within the creed, he says. She turns to me. Name. Liara Thornvale. My voice steadies on the second word. Rook nods at the ring. Our laws are simple. We train to protect, not to humiliate. We win by ending harm, not proving hunger. If you bleed, we bind you. If you fall, we stand you up. She taps the circle edge with the butt of her spear. Strength must not be proven by breaking what's already bent. Speak it. I swallow. Strength must not be proven by breaking what's already bent. Again, she says softly. I speak it again. This time it doesn't taste like a foreign prayer. Good. Rook tosses me a short stave. It's ashwood, scarred, balanced. The first weapon I've held that isn't pretending to be something else. Show me if you're left or right, Thornvale. Right. I settle my grip. She shows me footwork first, triangles and arcs, the geometry of not dying. The circle's etched runes become a map under my boots. She taps my knuckles when I grip wrong, knocks my shin with her own when my stance drifts. There's no shame in it. The corrections are exact, uncruel. Kael watches from the edge. He doesn't interfere. When sweat and breath finally find their rhythm, Rook calls a halt and gestures to a pile of snow shoveled to the side in a clean drift. Cool your wrists, then we test. I plunge my hands into the snow. It aches the way honesty aches. When I straighten, a figure steps from the ring's opposite side. A man my age, all shoulders and wary eyes. He bows, stiff but not mocking. Cass, he says, I volunteered. Rook snorts. You sprinted, he flushes. We fought rogues together once, he blurts to me. Like a confession. At the boundary stones, you threw a rock into one's mouth. I tell that story badly. I blink. I remember the stone. I remember less of him, and I'm not proud of that. We raise staves. Rook drops her hand. Cass moves first, fast. The first strike clangs along my bones. The second glances my shoulder. I answer. Clumsy parry, lucky riposte. He grins, surprised. It disarms me more than any blow. Guard, Rook murmurs. Your elbow. We circle. The world tightens to wood and breath. Something like joy sparks where fear used to sit. Not joy in hurting, but in being equal to it. Cass feints high. I dip low, sweep the leg he left light. He stumbles, catches himself, laughs out loud. It breaks the ring's cold like a log cracking in fire. Again, he says. We trade and trade until my shoulders shake with effort. The ring's edge seems to hum. No, the hum is under my skin. A slow drum, like a tide remembering the shore it loves. The crescent at my wrist warms. Rook raises a hand. Enough. Thornvale, well. Cass offers his arm. I take it, forearms clapping once in the solid thank you of warriors. His eyes flick to my wrist. He doesn't comment, but something lingers there. Respect, maybe, or rumor. Kyle steps in then, pulling the ring's air with him. My turn, he says. Rook arches a brow. You promised not to break her. I promised the creed. The corners of his eyes crease. She'll break me. Cass huffs and retreats. The soldiers around the circle lean in without moving. Even the snow seems to stall. I face Kyle. He holds a stave too, like he's done so every day of his life. He's taller than me by a head and more, all angles that make sense. He lowers the stave in salute. I mirror him. Begin, Rook says softly. We don't move. We listen. He moves first, not to strike, a suggestion. The stave tilts, inviting my block. I refuse the invitation and step into his range where his length is clumsy. He pivots, too soon. I slice his flank with the flat, light tap of wood on leather. His eyes spark, not anger, approval. Again, he says. We flow. He tests edges I didn't know I had. I find answers I didn't know I'd learn. The stave becomes a conversation, the kind enemies have in a language older than hate. My breath sharpens into something holy. God, he says once, almost a whisper, and I hear more than the word. I hear stay. I feint right, slide left, and for the first time strike at his hand. He lifts to meet it, almost. The ash skims his glove, the space just above his knuckles, and the world changes temperature. Light flares where wood should have touched flesh. Not fire, moonlight, thin and merciless. It pours under the leather and through it, strips shadow off the seams, and lands clean on my wrist, where the crescent answers in a single blinding pulse. Someone inhales like they've never done it before. Cass says a word I don't know. Rook's spear taps stone once, sharply. Kyle doesn't move. Neither do I. The glow threads between us, wrist to wrist, braid of light tying two hurts in the shape of a promise. It lasts only a breath. It holds longer than breath. Then it's gone. The ring stands in honest day again. No one speaks. Kyle lowers his stave first. He removes his glove with the care of a man unwrapping a weapon that may turn on the one who wields it. 3 crescents lie beneath, pale, scar, deep, cool as snow, just before it burns. He does not hide it. He turns his wrist so the gathered can see. The gesture is not boast, not threat. It is verdict. Rook nods once to herself, as if a sum she's kept quietly has resolved. Cass bows so fast he nearly headbutts the floor. A murmur rolls around the court, like thunder finding language. Alpha, a soldier breathes, all curdled with fear. The mark. Kale breaks their gaze with a look that could tame fire. The creed still holds, he says. It holds louder. He faces me then, and the steadiness in him is not armor, it's decision. Lyara Thornvale, he says, voice rougher than when he spoke to the snow. You did not come here to be saved. You came to learn how to stand. Silverclaw will not put you back on your knees. The ring exhales. I try to breathe with it. Again, Rook says briskly, as if the world didn't just tilt. Train the truth into your bones before the mind can explain it away. We go again and again. We sweat into new versions of ourselves. Each correction is a stitch, each success a warm seam. When my legs finally shake too hard to obey, Rook calls halt and shoves a strip of dried meat into my palm. Eat. You fight like someone who forgot they're allowed to. Allowed? The word feels strange. By who? By you, she says, matter of fact. We're just catching you up. Cass drapes a cloak over my shoulders like he can't help it. If the Alpha speaks prophecy, try not to interrupt. I'm not, Kale begins. Not speaking it, sure, Rook drawls. Just wearing it where everyone can see. Laughter flickers. It doesn't hurt this time. Kale's gaze cuts sideways. Private lightning. Enough. He gestures me away from the ring toward a quieter arcade where icicles hang like glass knives. You did well. You let me. I answered you. He studies me, not the way men study prey or prize, but like a map that redraws itself. The way you move, he stops, starts again. Who taught you to listen while you fight? No one. I glance back at the circle, at the place where light stitched us for a heartbeat. Hunger did. He breathes out, a sound like relief finding shape. Good teacher. Cruel, but good. Silence sits between us, companionable and strange. He breaks it first. You've heard the whispers. I have. A prophecy with my outline. A bond that shouldn't be. The rejected rising. The moon's attention is a weight you can't set down. I don't want a crown, I say. I don't want a second war, he answers. It isn't a threat. It's a fact. We stand in that honesty until the cold finds the seams of my borrowed cloak. You'll have duties, he adds, voice returning to the measured cadence of a ruler. Not exploit, not pity. Work. The infirmary will take you in the afternoons. Rook at first light. Cass at dusk if you want to learn the bow. He considers. Eat between those. I can. Good. And Lyara? His voice drops into a place I heard last night in the snow. If anyone asks you what you are, I'll tell them I belong to winter, I say. The line arrives whole, like it's been waiting behind my teeth. Something like pride touches his mouth. That will do. He turns to go. I catch myself stopping him. What is Silverclaw to you? I ask. Home? Burden? He looks past the court at the mountain that made him, a vow I'm still learning how to keep. Then he's gone, swallowed by responsibilities I don't know how to name. The courtyard empties in waves. Only the wind remains, playing with banners. I stare at my wrist until the crescent quits, pretending it's asleep. It hums, quiet, private, as if matching the memory of his. I don't realize I'm smiling until Rook barks. Don't grin at omens, Thornvale. They think you're flirting. I school my face into something sterner. What did you see in the ring? I ask, too quickly casual. Rook leans on her spear, eyes crinkling. A woman who moves like forgiveness and hits like consequence. That sounds like a threat. That sounds like leadership, she corrects. Eat more. By nightfall, I've learned the layout. The kitchen that smells of rosemary and rabbit. The infirmary, with its shelves of glass vials like a captured constellation. The high balcony, where wolves come to nap in a tangle of fur and warmth. Children, 2, maybe 3 families' worth, scamper with chores and wooden swords, fearless the way the loved are. In the infirmary, a healer named Sile hands me a basket of bandages and a list longer than patience. You bind clean, you cut straight, she says. If you faint at blood, do it into that basin. I won't faint. Promise? Hope. She snorts approval. Good enough. We stitch arrow grazes and frostbitten ears. I learn how Silverclaw thanks the ones who return and mourns the ones who don't, with names spoken under breath and a bowl of hot broth placed by the fire for the missing. I do not cry. I am too tired and also too full. When I finally stumble back to my chamber, the window is a square of black glass. The mountains are only a decker dark. I strip down to skin and scars, slide under fur. I expect sleep to be a cliff. It isn't. It's a shore. I drift. The dream comes as it always does now. A hand reaching through silver mist. But tonight it's not only a hand. It's the same hall as morning, empty, lit by a moon that doesn't exist. The ring glows faint. Footprints I recognize track across it. Mine and not mine. A voice, not a voice. moves through the air like warm breath on cold glass. Stand where you fell, kneel only to lift. Strength must not be proven by breaking what's already bent. I wake with the words inside my mouth like I ate them. Snow hushes at the window the way listeners hush before a story's end. At first light, the court is full again. Rook waits. Cass grins, already bruised. Kale is there, speaking with a runner, eyes shadowed by a night he didn't spend in sleep. He looks up as I step into the ring. We don't smile. We don't need to. Rook lifts her spear. Begin. Cass and I clash. The stave cracks against wood and bone, and the morning's cold. He's better today. So am I. The ring approves with its quiet hum. He faints. I counter. We trade a rhythm that belongs to people who trust each other to stop when it matters. On the third pass, he overextends. I tap his knuckles. A reminder, nothing more. He laughs, shakes the sting off, launches back in. We find it again. He slips. I step to catch. Our staves skim. Mine jerks wide, straight toward the edge where Kale stands. I turn my wrist to miss him. I don't. The wood grazes the back of his bare hand, where he's pulled the glove off to sign a paper. Light detonates, not flicker, not polite glow. A hard, clean flare that pours out of him and into me and back. A tide ricocheting between two shores that refuse to erode. It throws shadows long across the court. It sears the rune circle into fierce relief. Every head snaps. Every breath stops. Rook's spear strikes stone once, like a gavel. Cass swears reverently. Someone whispers, the prophecy. The light thins to silk, then threads itself back under skin like it was never there. No one speaks. Kale looks at me as if he's reading the rest of his life in the lines of my face. Enough for today, Rook says, voice steady around the tremor everyone else is pretending not to feel. Eat, pray, or don't, but remember. Kale closes his hand into a fist. The crescents pulse once, then lie quiet. He lifts his gaze to the gathered, soldiers, children, wolves half dozing with one eye like gods at ease. The creed, he says softly. They answer as one, a vow rolled in breath and frost. Strength must not be proven by breaking what's already bent. The words wash through me and leave something standing where the girl from Iron Fang used to kneel. I don't know if I'm ready for what's coming. I know I can stand for it. Cliffhanger. As the crowd disperses in stunned whispers, Rook catches my sleeve, eyes sharp. Priestess Era sent to Raven, she says. Blood moon in 2 nights. She tilts her chin at my wrist, then at Kyle's. Whatever that is, get ready to name it. The night came without sound. Even the wolves stopped breathing. Snow fell in slow, deliberate flakes, as if the sky was thinking about each one before it let go. From my window, Silverclaw looked carved from frost and moonlight, serene on the surface, trembling underneath. The blood moon was rising. The same crimson halo that had watched my rejection now crowned the mountains of my rebirth. But something in me knew. The moon never appears twice without asking for payment. I couldn't sleep. My skin prickled like a warning. Every inhale carried a metallic taste, like the scent of lightning before it strikes. I left my chamber, pulling Kyle's spare cloak around me. The corridors were empty, except for flame and echo. The torches bowed in unison, their light bending toward the courtyard. Toward him. Kyle stood in the snow, bare-armed, his breath a pale storm. The crescent on his wrist pulsed in rhythm, with the moon above, glowing bright enough to stain the air. Power rippled off him, silent, vast, restrained like an ocean behind glass. I should have turned back. Instead, I stepped closer. You shouldn't be out here, I said softly. His head tilted toward me, but his eyes didn't waver from the sky. Neither should you. The words were calm. The tone was not. The air shifted. Every wolf in Silverclaw howled at once. Not in grief or warning, but in recognition. The ground trembled under my boots. The moon pulsed, sending a cold beam straight down between us, painting the snow in molten silver. My mark, long dormant, ignited. The pain was exquisite. It raced through my veins like wildfire and ice combined. I gasped, clutching my wrist. Beneath my skin, the crescent burned into brilliance, forming new lines. A second ring. Kael crossed the distance before I could fall. Lyara. The moment he touched me, the agony stopped. The light didn't. Silver leapt from my skin into his. Our marks flared together, twin sigils locked in the same rhythm. The moon roared approval through the sky, and a column of light engulfed us both. I could hear her heartbeat in my bones. The ancient voice that haunted my dreams rose again. The rejected shall rise. The bond shall bleed into mercy. The moon keeps what man discards. I wanted to pull away. I couldn't. The bond wasn't gentle. It rewrote everything it touched. His breath caught. My vision blurred. In the white heat between us, I saw flashes. His memories, his burdens, his loneliness so deep it could drown armies. And under it, a pulse that recognized mine. The bond wasn't love yet. It was recognition. Primal, terrifying, divine. When the light finally broke, we were on our knees facing each other. The mark between us glowed like a wound trying to decide if it wanted to heal. He was the first to speak. "What did you see?" "You," I whispered. "All of you." "And?" "You're afraid." The faintest crack appeared in his composure. There and gone. "You shouldn't have followed the call." I smiled weakly. "You shouldn't have answered it." He looked away, jaw tight. "The moon doesn't ask permission. She binds what she chooses." "And what if she's wrong again?" He met my gaze, something fierce sparking in his eyes. "Then we'll teach her mercy." A howl tore through the mountain. One long, mournful note that vibrated through the stone. It wasn't a wolf this time. It was something older, something watching. The light between our wrists dimmed, but the connection didn't fade. Even separated by breath, I could feel him. Every shift, every heartbeat, every unspoken thought. He offered me a hand. "Come inside before the storm decides we're worth testing." When I took it, the air hummed like prophecy being written. By morning, the snow had stopped. The courtyard was littered with crescents drawn in frost. Every silver claw eye turned toward me as I passed. They didn't bow. They watched. Rumor travels faster than reason. By breakfast, the bond was legend. By midday, the priestess arrived. Her name was Ira Solin, and she walked like she'd been carved out of moonstone. Her eyes were the color of dawn reflected in water, soft and merciless all at once. When she entered the great hall, everyone bowed except Kael. "High Priestess," he greeted. She studied him, then me. "The moon speaks loudly these days." "I didn't ask her to," I said. "None of us do," she replied. "That's how we know it's her." Her gaze fell to my wrist. She reached out and traced the mark without touching. 2 crescents. Rare. Dangerous. It means your bond has rewritten the law. "What law?" "The one that says the rejected cannot be chosen again." Her voice dropped lower, intimate and final. "The moon has claimed you twice, child. You are no longer mistake. You are correction." Era turned to Kael. "And you, Osamu, Alpha, you carry 3 crescents. You were meant to balance destruction with grace. You've done neither, until now." He stiffened. If the moon wanted balance, she shouldn't have chosen war to test it. The priestess smiled faintly. "She doesn't test, she teaches." She looked back at both of us. "The rejected shall rise, and mercy shall crown her. That's what was written. You've lit the first flame." I frowned. "And what happens next?" Her eyes softened with pity. "Flames attract storms." That night, thunder cracked across the mountains. Silverclaw's wolves howled in answer. I stood on the balcony, the storm's wind tangling my hair, lightning reflecting in the snow below. Kael joined me quietly. "The priestess is gone," he said. "She left without warning. She never stays where prophecy lives. Says it burns faster that way. We watched the sky rip apart. The blood moon faded to white, but I could still feel its heartbeat inside me. What if she's right? I asked. What if storms are coming? He looked at me, the corners of his mouth softening. Then let them come. The wind whipped harder, scattering snow between us. My pulse matched his. For the first time since the night of my rejection, I didn't feel small beneath the moon. I felt chosen. And somewhere in the storm's roar, I could almost hear the moon laughing, wild, ancient, and proud. As lightning split the sky, I saw it, carved in frost across the balcony rail. 3 words glowed in silver light before melting into mist. Mercy will bleed. And deep inside the mountain, the sacred bells began to ring. A sound reserved only for prophecy fulfilled. Morning bled into Silverclaw, like the calm before a war that hadn't yet decided where to strike. Every banner in the courtyard fluttered with unease. The bond between Cale and me had spread like wildfire through the ranks, whispers threading through stone corridors faster than any runner. And the alpha who once stood above rumor now stood inside one. Rook's training ring was colder that morning, not by temperature, but by attention. Every movement I made drew the hush of watching soldiers. Every mistake hummed louder than steel. You don't need their approval, Rook said, tapping my stance into line. You only need your footing. Feels like I'm standing on trial, not training. Her smirk was brief. Same thing most days. I struck again, wood clashing against Cass's staff. He grunted, slipped, then retaliated with twice the speed. The sound drew murmurs from the gallery, half respect, half speculation. I knew what they were thinking. Why her? Why a castaway from Iron Fang? Why does the Alpha's mark answer hers? The truth was simple. I didn't know either. By the time Rook dismissed us, my arms trembled and my breath smoked like flame. When I turned to leave, a folded parchment waited at the edge of the ring, sealed in silver wax. Rook picked it up first. Official crest, she muttered. The High Council. Cale appeared before I could answer. His tone was steady, but his eyes no longer calm. Walk with me. He didn't speak until the great hall swallowed the last echo of our steps. Then he handed me the letter. Read it. The wax cracked beneath my thumb. The handwriting was ornate, cruelly elegant. To Alpha Cale Draverin of Silverclaw, you harbor a branded exile marked by forbidden union. The council demands her appearance at the upcoming tribunal to answer charges of sorcery and deceit against the natural order. The law decrees that all bonds between cursed and chosen bloodlines be severed for the safety of the Pax. Failure to comply will be seen as treason against the Accords. By decree of the High Seat, Elder Mira Valen. My hands trembled. They're calling me a curse. They're calling us one. Cale corrected quietly. They fear what they can't own. What happens at the tribunal? He looked toward the stained glass window, where a shard of red light crossed his cheek. Questions, accusations, and, if I allow it, execution. The next day, the council arrived, 7 elders in silver cloaks that swept the floor like ghosts. The great hall transformed into a courtroom, every seat occupied by nobles, emissaries, and wolves from the allied Pax. They placed me in the center, beneath the high dome of the moon's emblem. My wrists were unbound, but the weight of 1,000 eyes pinned me harder than chains. Elder Mira rose first. Her voice was sharp and slow, each word polished like a dagger. Lyara Thornvale, once of Iron Fang, accused of bond manipulation, sorcery, and seduction of an alpha through unnatural means. How do you plead? I stood straighter than I felt. If survival is sorcery, then guilty. If empathy is seduction, then guilty twice. But if you call mercy unnatural, then perhaps you should ask the moon why she gave it to us. Gasps rippled through the chamber. Cale's lips twitched, half warning, half admiration. Mira's smile was thin. Boldness suits the doomed. She is not doomed, Kael said. His voice rolled across the hall like thunder held in velvet. She is chosen. The bond between us was not forged in deceit. It was recognized by the moon herself. Convenient faith. Aki, Mira sneered. The moon cannot speak for those who disobey her oldest decree. She already has. He removed his glove. The crescents on his wrist gleamed like tempered light. The hall fell silent. The Alpha of Silverclaw stands by her. Mura's composure fractured for a moment, then she turned to me. Tell me, exile, did you seek his bond out of ambition or desperation? Neither. Then why him? I hesitated. Everyone leaned closer. Because he didn't flinch when he saw me bleed, I said finally, and that's rarer than power. Mura's nostrils flared. And would you die for him? Kael's voice cut in before I could answer. She already has, every night since Ironfang turned her out. The council erupted in murmurs. Enough, Mira slammed her staff. You break order, you blur lines meant to preserve peace. Peace built on shame isn't peace, Kael said. It's silence. His words carried weight, raw and dangerous. Even the guards hesitated. Elder Mira glanced at the others. Then you leave us no choice. The council declares. She stopped mid-sentence. The dome above us flickered. The moon's light, pure silver, descended through the glass like liquid judgment. It struck our marks. The glow filled the hall, brighter than any torch. The elders shielded their eyes, murmuring prayers. When the light dimmed, the moon's emblem on the floor had changed. No longer a single crescent, but two interlocking rings. The bond itself had spoken. Mura's staff fell to the ground, clattering like surrender. Kael took a slow step forward, voice calm and unyielding. The law of the heart stands above the law of fear. By the time the hall emptied, rumors had already become scripture. Some called it blasphemy, others called it the beginning of a new era. Outside, the courtyard erupted into a storm of banners. Warriors from both Ironfang and Silverclaw faced each other across the snow. For the first time in centuries, no one moved to draw steel. Rook appeared beside me, grinning like a woman who'd seen gods bleed. Well, she said, that went better than most executions. I exhaled. We didn't win. No, she said, you changed the game. That's harder. From the watchtower above, a raven shrieked, dropping a gold-sealed scroll into the snow at Kael's feet. He bent to retrieve it, eyes narrowing as he read. What is it? I asked. He handed it to me. The wax was unmistakable, the crest of Ironfang. Invitation. You are cordially summoned to the mating ceremony of Beta Ronin Blackmere and Lady Sarah of Dawnvale. Under the witness of the moon, let all debts be forgiven. I felt the blood drain from my face. He dares. Kael's voice was quiet, sharp as a blade drawn slow. He doesn't just dare. He invites the storm. He looked at me then, and the bond between us flared like living fire. Kael's eyes hardened to steel. Prepare the riders, he said. We ride to Hollowmere. And in that moment, I realized the ceremony wasn't just his arrogance. It was bait. The wind carried the scent of iron long before the towers of Hollowmere appeared. The same snow that once swallowed my screams now whispered them back. Every hoofbeat through the pass felt like a heartbeat I had buried but never forgotten. We rode under Silverclaw banners, silver and black, sharp against the pale sky. The world seemed to hold its breath as we crossed into Ironfang territory, where shame had once been my crown. The forest thinned, revealing the courtyard I knew too well. Stone altar, rows of flame-lit seats, and the same marble floor where my bond had been shattered before the moon. The gates opened slowly, guarded by warriors who refused to meet my eyes. At their head stood Beta Ronin Blackmere, the man who had destroyed me. He looked untouched by time. His golden hair slicked back, his smirk rehearsed, his arrogance polished to perfection. But his eyes, those cold amber eyes, flickered when he saw Kyle dismount. "Alpha of Silverclaw," Ronan said, bowing just enough to mock respect. "We didn't expect royalty at a simple mating ceremony." Kyle's gaze was a blade wrapped in calm. "Then your expectations were too low." Ronan's smirk faltered, just slightly. The pack gathered like vultures around an unburied secret. The altar was drenched in candlelight. Lady Sarah of Dawn Vale stood beside Ronan, pale, trembling, beautiful in the way porcelain is before it shatters. Priestess Ara's words echoed from the dais. "Under the witness of the moon, two souls become one, their blood made vow." Her voice trailed off as her gaze landed on me. Her pupils dilated, as if reading an omen written on my skin. The mark beneath my sleeve pulsed once. So did Kyle's. Ronan saw it, and smiled wider. "What a coincidence. The moon blesses us twice tonight. My ex-mate, the Alpha's newest charity project, gracing my ceremony. Truly poetic." I held his stare. "The moon remembers mockery longer than marriage." The crowd murmured. Sarah looked between us, confusion and fear warring on her face. Ronan chuckled. "Still sharp, little Omega. Still pretending the world bends for your tragedy." Kale stepped forward, cloak flaring like wings. "Careful, Beta. Some tragedies bite back." The torches dimmed suddenly. The moon slid free of the clouds, a perfect circle of red. The crowd gasped. Someone whispered that such color marked divine judgment. Era raised her staff, voice trembling. "The moon's eye opens." But Ronan only laughed louder. "You think your Alpha protects you now, Liara? The moon gave you to me first. The bond may have died, but the shame remains. I made you unworthy, and I can remind them all why." His words hit like stones. For a moment, I was back on that altar, rejected, broke, small. Then Kale's hand brushed mine. Just a touch, just enough. The mark flared beneath our skin, a soft silver hum beneath the crimson light. The air rippled. Every wolf in the crowd stiffened as the ground began to vibrate. A low growl beneath the earth itself. Kale's voice carried through the silence. "The moon does not choose twice," he said. "She corrects what was stolen." He turned, meeting Ronan's gaze. "The moon already claimed her once. I claim her now, in blood and in truth." The altar cracked, literally split in two, a jagged line of molten silver slicing through the stone. The fire and the torches bent backward, pulled toward us. The crowd fell to their knee as a column of moonlight descended between us and the Beta. It wasn't gentle, it was judgment. Ronan shouted, "Witchcraft!" but his voice drowned in the roar. Era's staff glowed white-hot. "It's not witchcraft," she cried. "It's recognition." The bond marks on our wrists blazed bright enough to blind. The crescents intertwined into a full moon. A seal neither forged nor broken by man. Kyle's eyes glowed silver. "Liara Thornvale is no exile. She is Luna reborn." The power burst outward, a wave of light that swept through the crowd. Wolves dropped to their knees, snarling in awe. Even Ronan stumbled back, clutching his chest. The mark on his wrist, once proof of our mate bond, burned black then vanished entirely. He screamed. The sound was human and helpless. The moon's voice rolled through every stone and bone. "The bond that mocked its blessing shall be undone. The heart that scorned its mirror shall know emptiness." The world went still. Ronan collapsed at the foot of the altar, trembling as his strength drained away. His eyes met mine, wild, terrified, mortal. "Liara," he whispered, "what are you?" I looked down at him, the mark on my wrist gleaming like dawn. "Correction," I said. Kyle stepped beside me, his hand finding mine before the crowd of two packs. Iron Fang and Silverclaw still bowed in shock. The torches flared back to life. The altar's crack sealed itself, the stone reshaped by silver veins. He turned to Era. "The moon has made her decree. Let it be witnessed. Era bowed, her expression unreadable. Witnessed and sealed. Then she raised her staff. All who mock the rejected shall kneel before mercy. And they did. Even the wind seemed to bow. When the ceremony ended, Iron Fang's banners no longer flew alone. Silver Claw's crest, twin crescents over mountain peaks, now hung beside them. Kael looked down at me, eyes softer than they'd ever been. The world will hate what it can't understand. Let it, I said. We were never born to be quiet. He smiled, and for a heartbeat, I forgot there had ever been pain. The moon glowed pale again, satisfied for now. But deep in the distance, a thunder rolled through the forest, low and endless, a warning that peace never comes without a price. As the crowd dispersed, Era approached, her expression grave. The moon's prophecy is not finished, she whispered. Tonight was her declaration. Tomorrow, she'll demand her judgment. She pressed a small silver dagger into my palm. Blood answers blood, Layara. Be ready. The crimson moon hung motionless above Hollowmere, swollen, heavy, alive. Every wolf in both packs could feel it thrumming behind their ribs, whispering the same warning in a voice that was older than blood. The night after Ronan's fall, the air itself seemed afraid to move. No one celebrated. Even victory had teeth. By dawn, the valley was already lined with banners, Silver Claw and Iron Fang standing side by side for the first time in a century. A truce, brittle as glass. The scent of iron and prophecy coiled through the wind. Kael stood at the altar's remains, armor black as eclipse. His eyes were silver fire, calm but watchful. Around him, soldiers whispered prayers to both moon and memory. I watched from the edge of the courtyard, Rook beside me, her spear glinting faintly. They came for spectacle, she muttered, not for peace. They'll get both, I said, because I could feel it too. The moon wasn't done. Something vast was building, a silence with intent. Era, the priestess, arrived with her staff aglow and her expression unreadable. 2 packs, 1 altar, she said. The prophecy breathes. Kael nodded once. Then let it speak. The clouds above the moon split like torn fabric. A shaft of light speared through, illuminating the space between us. Neither Silver Claw nor Iron Fang territory. Neutral ground, born from the blood of our defiance. Era raised her staff, her voice echoing like thunder beneath water. When pride mocks mercy, the moon sends her judgment. When mercy is born in defiance, the moon demands its proof. Her eyes locked on me. Layara Thornvale, bearer of dual crescents, do you accept the moon's trial? Kael stepped forward immediately. She does not stand alone. Era didn't blink. And you, Kael Dravarin, Alpha of Silverclaw, do you accept it as well? He met her gaze, unflinching. If she stands, I stand. The light between us brightened, rippling through the air like heat. From the edge of the crowd, movement. Ronan stepped forward, or what was left of him. His skin was pale, his mark burned away, his eyes rimmed in silver flame. Whatever the moon had done to him, she hadn't finished. I demand the right of redemption, he rasped, trial by combat, to prove who the moon favors. Era's face darkened. You stand marked by void. Then let the void fight for me. The moon flared red, and her silence was consent. Kael drew his sword, black steel with a core of silver fire. He turned to me. Stay behind the line. I shook my head. No, the bond doesn't have a line. Before he could protest, Ronan lunged. The impact of their first clash cracked the altar again. Sparks and light sprayed through the air, the sound of metal like language breaking apart. Each strike was faster than breath, sharper than guilt. Kael fought like a man defending both mercy and damnation at once. Ronan fought like someone already dead, desperate to make the world bleed with him. When their blades locked, Ronan snarled. You think the moon loves you? She doesn't love mercy, she loves obedience. Kyle pushed back, voice low. Then why does she keep breaking her own rules? Ronan twisted, slashing Kyle's arm. Blood splattered on the altar, dark and bright at once. My mark flared in response, pain surging through my own veins. Enough, I cried. The word wasn't mine. It was the moon's. The ground split open beneath Ronan's feet, and light poured out. Not fire, not water, something older. His sword shattered. The mark that had been erased from his wrist burned back for one heartbeat, only to turn to ash. He fell to his knees, gasping. Mercy. I stepped forward and knelt before him. That's all that's left to give. When my hand touched his forehead, the silver light spread through him. Slow, steady, final. His body slumped forward, peaceful for the first time in his life. The moon's voice rolled over us again. The proud are undone, the merciful endure. Balance returns when love kneels without chains. Kale dropped his sword, chest heaving. The light from his crescent softened, fading into a quiet silver pulse. Era turned to the crowd. The moon has chosen. The old law dies tonight. The rejected shall rise, and mercy shall reign. Iron Fang's soldiers looked to their fallen beta, then to me. One by one they lowered their heads. Kale extended his hand. Rise with me, not beneath me. And slowly, the entire court stood. Not in surrender, but in reverence. The moon broke through the clouds fully now. Whole, white, serene. The snow reflected her calm. But deep within that light, I saw her warning still lingering, faint and cold. Mercy always costs something. As the packs dispersed, Era approached with her staff lowered. The moon is satisfied, she said softly, but not silent. Her next command has already been written. She handed Kyle a scroll sealed in frost. On it the words shimmered faintly. The Luna must ascend. The cold ink beneath the seal formed one more message, visible only to me. A whisper no one else could read. One must fade for the other to rise. The mountains slept beneath a silver dawn. For the first time since the blood moon, Hollowmere was quiet, not with peace, but with exhaustion. The air itself seemed to exhale, as if the land had been holding its breath through centuries of law and punishment. I stood on the same altar where my rejection had once echoed like thunder. Now the broken stones were veined with living light. The moon had repaired what pride destroyed. And today, she would rewrite the rest. The night's battle had left both packs wounded but awake. Silverclaw healers moved among Iron Fang warriors, binding flesh and pride in equal measure. No one spoke of victory. They only whispered one name. Lyara Thornvale, the Luna of the Crescent Bond. Kyle approached through the hush, his cloak torn, his arm bandaged where Ronan's blade had struck him. He looked more human than I had ever seen him. Not untouchable, but unbroken. "Are you ready?" he asked. "For what?" "For the world to stop pretending mercy is weakness." He extended his hand. I took it without hesitation. The bond pulsed once, soft, warm, a heartbeat shared. The courtyard filled slowly, the two packs forming a single circle around the altar. Priestess Era raised her staff. Her voice carried like wind through pine. "The moon's decree has been spoken. Balance demands a vow, not of dominance, but of devotion. Let the Alpha and Luna stand together, their marks joined, so the law may change its shape." Kale turned to me. His gaze wasn't command, it was invitation. "Lyara Thornvale," he said, loud enough for every wolf and ghost to hear. "You were cast out, yet you rose. You were mocked, yet you forgave. Will you bind Silverclaw and Iron Fang in the name of mercy, not conquest?" "I will," I said. He drew his blade, the one that had ended the war, and pressed the flat against his palm until silver blood welled. I did the same, the sting grounding me in every choice that led here. When our hands met, the crescent marks blazed into one. The altar shuddered, then softened, reshaping itself into a smooth disk of white stone. The moon's voice trembled through every heart. No crown matters unless it shelters the broken. A wind rose from nowhere, tearing the old banners from their poles. The sigil of Iron Fang split in mid-air, its jagged fangs melting into silver mist. From that mist, a new crest formed, two interlocking crescents encircling a single flame. Era lifted her staff high. Behold, the union of the crescent flame. Mercy bound to might, light joined to shadow. Kale turned to the crowd. This is not conquest. This is correction. From this day forward, no wolf shall be cast out for a bond the moon blesses. No pack shall name rejection as virtue. The roar that followed wasn't cheer, it was release. Centuries of fear exhaled all at once. Rook knelt first, then Cass, then the captains of both armies. Even the elders bowed their heads, not to kneel, but to honor. And in that moment, the title Luna no longer felt like burden. It felt like truth. As the crowd dispersed, Era lingered. Her staff dimmed, her eyes were sorrowful. You've fulfilled the prophecy, she said softly, but you've also awoken something older. The moon, I asked, the part of her that remembers hunger. Kale frowned. Explain. The balance has shifted too far toward mercy. The world will test it. Storms will return, not of war, but of doubt. She looked at me, her expression almost motherly. Luna, mercy is the sharpest weapon of all, but wield it carefully. It cuts both ways. Then she was gone, her footprints vanishing before they touched the snow. That evening, Hollowmere glowed with quiet fire. Wolves from both packs gathered again, not for battle, but for remembrance. They built pyres for the fallen and sang beneath the crescent flame banners. Kale stood beside me, the light painting his face in gold and silver. You changed them, he said, and me. I smiled faintly. You were always changing. You just needed someone to witness it. He looked down, then back up. That half smile that could melt frost. The moon wasn't wrong choosing you twice. Then why does it still feel like she's waiting for something? He hesitated. Because every prophecy ends with a choice. I looked toward the horizon where the moon was rising again. Pure, white, watching. For the first time, she didn't feel distant. She felt near, listening. The wind carried a whisper across the snow, words no one else could hear. Mercy is not peace. Mercy is preparation. At sunrise, the packs gathered once more, this time by their own will. Children of both clans played together beneath the banners of unity. Elders recited oaths rewritten overnight. The world had changed, not with blood, but with forgiveness carved into stone. Kyle stepped forward and spoke to them all. From this day, we are neither Silverclaw nor Iron Fang. We are the Crescent Order. Wolves of the moon, bound by mercy and might, let our children inherit peace, not fear. He turned to me, and our Luna leads the first vow. I lifted my wrist. The crescent there glowed soft and steady, reflecting the sunrise. My vow, I said, is that no one will ever kneel for mercy again. The crowd answered not with words, but with a single unified howl that shook the mountains. The moon shimmered one last time before fading into daylight, her work complete, for now. As the howls faded, I noticed it, a faint shimmer on the altar stone, letters forming as if carved by invisible hands. Every union births its shadow. Beware the one who bears no mark. The light dimmed, and the wind fell silent. I turned to Kael, heart tightening, because standing at the edge of the courtyard, half in light, half in darkness, was a child, eyes silver, skin unmarked, watching us. The child didn't move. He simply stood in the threshold of light and shadow, silent as a secret waiting to be remembered. Every instinct in me, every ounce of Luna's calm and woman's fear, screamed that this was no ordinary child. The moonlight bent around him instead of touching him. His eyes reflected silver, yet he bore no mark, no crescent, no bond, nothing. and that was precisely what terrified me. Kale stepped forward first, his voice quiet but edged with command. "Who are you?" The boy tilted his head. "She sent me." Era's warning echoed in my mind. Every union births its shadow. "Who?" I asked, though my heart already knew. "The moon," he said simply. His voice wasn't cold. It was empty, as though it had never learned what warmth meant. Rook gripped her spear, whispering a curse under her breath. "Moon, help us. He's the balance she spoke of." The boy looked at her, and the torches dimmed. Shadows crawled like roots across the floor, drawn toward him. Kyle moved in front of me, but I touched his arm. "No. If she sent him, he's not here for violence. Not yet." The boy's eyes flicked to me. "The moon does not send mercy twice. She sends memory." Era appeared again, silent, ghost-like, as though she had walked out of the moon's light itself. Her face was pale with awe and something close to fear. "The Shadowborn," she whispered, "the moon's reflection given form. Every prophecy of union calls for one to remember what must not be repeated." "What does that mean?" Kale asked. Era looked at me. "It means that balance demands witness. You've rewritten the law. He's here to ensure it stays written." The boy's eyes glimmered faintly. "I am not your enemy." "What are you, then?" I asked. "The end of forgetting." He turned his gaze to the crowd of both packs. The soldiers, the children, the healers who'd fought and bled together. "You call this peace," he said, "but peace without vigilance is only silence waiting to break." Kale's voice softened. "What would you have us do, child?" "Remember," he said, "every mercy costs blood. Every crown casts a shadow." Weeks passed. Holomere transformed from a wound into a heartbeat. The first festival of the Crescent united both packs beneath the same sky. Bonfires ringed the valley, children wove silver threads into their hair, and for once, no one spoke of bloodlines or hierarchy. But even amid the laughter, I saw him, the boy, standing at the edge of the light, watching, always watching. Kyle joined me by the largest fire, his arm brushing mine as the pack sang. "He's quiet tonight," Kyle murmured. "He listens better than we do. Maybe that's his purpose. Or maybe he's waiting for ours." The flames danced higher, mirrored in the crescent-shaped crowns we both wore. Kyle turned to me, voice low. "Do you ever think about the beginning?" "I try not to." "But you do." "Yes," I said softly, "because it reminds me that even rejection can be rewritten." He smiled, weary and proud. "Then let this be the last time we ever bow to anything but love." At sunrise, the packs gathered once more. Not for war, not for mourning, but for ceremony. The altar, now a perfect circle of polished moonstone, gleamed beneath the dawn. Era stood beside us, her staff pulsing faintly with light. "Before the moon and the blood of two houses," she declared, "we name Kyle Dravarin and Lyara Thornvale, the first rulers of the Crescent Order. Alpha and Luna, united by mercy, crowned by balance." She lifted two crowns forged from fused silver and obsidian, light and dark, joined yet separate. Kyle took his and placed it on my head first. "The crown means nothing without the heart that keeps it steady." I smiled, then mirrored his gesture. "And the heart means nothing without the courage that guards it." When our eyes met, the moon above us brightened, so bright that for a moment, every shadow vanished. The child, standing just beyond the crowd, closed his eyes. "The circle is complete," he whispered. As the ceremony ended, I stepped to the edge of the altar, looking down at the two united packs. The snow shimmered like spilled starlight. For the first time, I saw no division, no crest higher than another. Just wolves, breathing, healing, beginning again. Kyle joined me, his hand warm against mine. "We've changed everything," he said. "For now," I replied. "But change is a story the world keeps retelling." The boy looked up at the moon and smiled faintly. The first expression of emotion I'd seen from him. Then let this one be remembered, he said. The rejected became the ruler, the proud learned mercy. The moon finally rested. The wind carried his words through the valley, and every wolf bowed their head as though the sky itself had spoken. As twilight fell, I found myself alone on the altar again. The moon rose full and serene, her light silver against the crown at my feet. "Is it over?" I whispered. Her voice, soft and eternal, moved through the air. "No story ends, child of the crescent. It only learns to breathe differently." "Then what of mercy?" "It will need guarding. And so will you." The light dimmed, but her presence lingered, not as command, but as blessing. When I looked down, the boy was gone. In his place, carved into the snow, were 5 words shining faintly. "Love rewrites what power forgets." The next morning, the packs woke to sunlight and silence. A silence not of fear but of promise, and as the crescent banners fluttered over Hollowmere, I knew what the moon had meant all along. Mercy had not been the end of war. It had been the beginning of peace.